So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Sunak's disastrous campaign launch. I think he was told on the day we're going to do it. Maybe the night before, because this is his PR team are probably one of the worst. His PR team, might be worse than Ed Miliband's PR team back in 2015. I'll be honest, and I love Ed Miliband. His kind of resurgence has been great, but your team in 2015 sucked. But we might have found someone whose team's actually worse.
Prime Minister, we are just yards away from where the Titanic was built and designed. Are you captaining a sinking ship going into this election?
So if you look at what's happened over the past few weeks alone, you can see that our plan is working. Inflation has returned to normal.
I mean, it's not back to normal, not really. It's still higher than the Bank of England's target. And when you look at overall inflation since 2020, it's gone up tremendously. I think I'll cover in a different video because I think it was one of the Sky News guys. He covered it as well. The rate of inflation has gone up tremendously. Just because it's gone back down to a normal kind of average rate of growth, it does not mean things are anywhere back to normal and that your plan worked. Your plan sucked. That's the reason we're in this mess.
Energy bills just today, we received welcome news, are falling. Wages have been rising faster than prices for 10 months, and at the beginning of this year our economy grew faster than pretty much all our major competitors. So whilst
we went into technical recession, how many of our major competitors went to technical recession? That's the problem with GDP growth. It doesn't make sense because you can have a bad quarter, and then if you have a fairly average quarter, that quarter looks really good because you've grown a certain percentage. It's dumb. It's a dumb metric.
No, of course there's still more work to do, and people are only just starting to feel the benefits. It's clear that the plan is working. So
this is one of the reasons he called the election, because the rate of inflation is coming down slightly, so the rate of growth, and because the economy went up slightly. That's it. That's the only reason he's called the election. This is the best economic news they're going to get all year.
Now is the time to turn to the future, and in an uncertain world, what that demands is someone who's prepared to take bold action, who has a clear plan, because that's how we'll deliver a secure future for everyone across our country.
I mean, this question here about him being so close to where the Titanic was built was pretty good question. Sunak, apparently he's taking the day off, the Saturday, so the 25th. But they're saying it's not a reset. How are you 3 days or 4 days into a campaign and then taking a break and then it being called not a reset? This man loves a reset, by the way. He's had multiple different campaign relaunches. But it shows you kind of the disaster he's in, that he has no interpersonal skills. He can't, kind of talk to the average person. He went to Wales telling them, saying to them, are you looking forward to all the football? And everyone's like, Wales aren't in the Euros. And obviously, football fans will watch football regardless. I'm sure they'll watch, England play or I think Scotland in the Euros as well. But it's just a weird question to ask. If they said, are you looking forward to watching the Euros? I think that would have made more sense. But yeah, no. It just gets worse, honestly.
To debate me, I want to debate him, and I hope that he takes up the offer.
He's sounding increasingly desperate, I have to say.
And the reason why he wants these debates is because he knows he's behind in the polls, and what he's going to do is just keep pointing out the fact that Starmer's U-turn on policies, and that makes him untrustworthy. And that's what Sunak's big attack plan is, and that's the reason why he wants these TV debates, because he's got nothing much to lose here. What's he going to lose? A couple more, a few more MPs. It doesn't make sense. He's the loser in the situation. He's got to play catch up. He's clipping at Starmer's heels now, and there should be TV debates. I think they should do it, back to the old format of having all of the leaders on one stage, and then you got the main party leaders. And then you've got the kind of the B leaguers, the other major parties outside the top two. I think having a head-to-head makes sense, but having all five of the major parties, or six, however many there are, on one stage at one point also makes a lot of sense, because it gives them a chance to, kind of argue and put their points forward.
Now, here is a little bit of breaking news. In fact, I think it's a big bit of political breaking news. Michael Gove, the Housing Secretary, has announced that he will not stand at the next election.
That doesn't surprise me. He's had all sorts of personal issues as well. Over the last couple of years, I think he went through a pretty bad divorce, but he's not going to stand, because I think he knows it's over. He knows it's over. And it's not just him. There's up to 78 MPs looking to leave Tory ones.
Sunak, with a growing exodus from the Conservative Party.
It's a record exodus, actually. We're up to 78 Conservatives now, with Michael Gove and Andrea Leadsom. They've in the House of Commons today. There've been what's been called a valedictory debate: tears, laughter, emotion, bit of rancour, and some accusations flying around from one MP who lost the Tory whip. But it was all pretty good-natured and mostly, and it went on for about 6 hours, all those valedictory speeches. But right at the end came with a dramatic
It's a long swan song, that 6 hours.
moment when Matt Hancock, of all people, who'd earlier made a very emotional speech, revealed to MPs that Mr Gove was going. The Andrea Leadsom resignation came later.
Why the hell would Matt Hancock announce it? It doesn't make sense. I get these guys have been around for a while, but it's a bit weird that. But, it's getting worse. He's going to have to find a load of candidates now, a load more candidates, because he didn't know they were going to drop out. Some of them, a lot of them, I think, he didn't know they were going to drop out. So it gets worse for him. And, this is his big argument. He talks about turning the corner.
I believe that the world is in a more uncertain place than it's been in decades, and that we've got the right plan, that we're prepared to take bold action. That's what my track record says, and that's how we'll deliver a secure future for everyone, their families, and our country. That's what this election is about, and that's what I look forward to talking to you and your viewers about over the next few weeks.
A lot of people are suggesting that the real reason you chose to hold the general election sooner rather than later is that you're concerned the inflation figures that you're talking about will rise again before the end of the year, that might look worse. On top of which, your plans in relation to migration, those figures may also look worse as we go into the summer months.
They're talking about channel crossings, and yeah, I think it'll look worse. I think there's been not a record high, but there've been a lot of channel crossings recently. The Rwanda plan, the planes aren't going to take off from the ground until after the election. I don't think they ever will, to be honest with you. The idea of, you need to vote us in again in order to get this plan going. I don't think most people will say that doesn't seem to make sense. Like, you've had enough time to do it. Even though I don't care for the plan, I think it's stupid. Stupid and immoral. But, this is the thing Sunak's pushing, and so if it's not going to work, the voters will lose interest in it. They don't care. They won't care. Like, he's pushing the idea that the Rwanda plan will solve the channel crossings when they've had enough time to sort it out, and more than that, they keep talking about a solution which, if it was going to work, they would have implemented it.
That is the real reason.
Well, no, that's not the real reason. And when it comes to the economy, of course, I know there's more work to do. I know that people are only just starting to feel the benefits of the changes that we've brought. And for some people, when they look at their bank balance at the end of every month, it will still be difficult. But we have undeniably made progress, and stability is...
Have they really made progress? I don't think they have.
Stings, doesn't it?
I don't think they have made much progress, I'll be honest. Like, when I think about it, like, the only thing they've done really is a small national insurance cut, which I have noticed, but I didn't notice it that much until I really looked at the numbers, to be honest with you. Like, I looked at how much like my pay slips, so I don't think they've done a lot with that. Like, Wales has, the price of most things have gone up, so I don't think people have noticed. The cost of things keeps going higher, wages are pretty stagnant. The idea that people are noticing these green shoots of recovery, I just don't think they are, to be honest with you. Maybe you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'll be happy to be corrected, but I'm just not seeing it.
Returned. Inflation has returned back to normal. Wages have...
It hasn't, though, and people know it. I said it earlier, like, the price of goods has gone up tremendously over the last couple of years, and it's not gone back down. We've not had deflation, which would mean prices come down. We've just had a slower rate of inflation. It's not worked. People still feel it. I still feel it. I think most people, when you go shopping, when you buy fuel or you go jump on the bus or whatever, they actually their price cap the bus cost. But when you're generally doing stuff, the prices have gone up.
Have now been rising for months. We are now growing faster than most of our major competitors. Energy bills are coming down, so that really is progress. There is stability, and that's why we can now think about the future. And
I think energy bills are coming down, but I don't think people notice them that much because we're in the summer. But you can kind of see the angle he's going for. I think it's not very strong because I don't think people think that it's the economy stupid. But the problem is people aren't feeling the benefits of the economy. When you tell people that the economy's grown, if they don't notice it in their pocket, I don't think they care that much.
Uncertain world, I believe that I'm the one that's prepared to take bold action, that we've got a clear plan, and that's how we'll deliver a secure future for everyone.
And I'm sure he went on to say Starmer has no plan. I guarantee you it. There's more.
4 million. Prime Minister, they haven't been cut. They've gone up by over 300,000. Why have you failed there?
Yeah.
It's still about the NHS wait list.
And we haven't made as much progress on NHS waiting lists as I would have liked. This matters to me personally because I come from an NHS family, as we've discussed. My mum was a pharmacist. My dad was
a pharmacist. Not really an NHS background, is it? Let's be honest, dog. Like, pharmacies aren't really linked to the NHS like that. Your dad being a GP, okay, fair. I can kind of give you that one, but your mum being a pharmacist, or I think they owned pharmacies. I don't know which one it was. I'm not giving him that one.
GP, and I wish we had made more progress, but we are now making progress. As we discussed, I think when I was last on your show, the waiting lists have now fallen by around 200,000, and actually what the NHS have said, if it wasn't for industrial...
The problem is the waiting list actually went up during the start of the year, so, you know, it coming back down, especially as we exit, you know, the colder months. You know, it's not really something to brag about. It's during, like, kind of autumn to winter we get a massive build-up. So I just don't think it's the big win they think it is. They're claiming it is.
Action that we had, they would have fallen by almost 500,000 more than that too, and that would have, then we would have actually got them down as I'd wanted to. But you know, it was right that we took a sensible approach and found the time to resolve those disputes on public sector pay. But we're also doing other things. We're training more doctors and nurses now here at home.
I mean, you've set more aggressive medical camps on students. Like, there were like places, medical schools saying, like, if you give us the funding, we can, you know, give these so many more places out, and the government didn't take them up on it. Other countries did instead. Students from abroad did instead, which is nothing wrong with that, but chances are they're probably going to go back, and so we've just lost out on having more medical professionals here.
Than we've ever done before. NHS has never had a plan like that. We're making sure you can go and see your pharmacist rather than your GP when you or your kids have a sore throat or an ear infection. That will speed up care.
I mean, so long as they're properly trained on that kind of stuff, I think that's probably good. But again, he's doing that not to improve the system generally, but he's doing that out of necessity because the system is so corrupt that they need to bring in, you know, people who are not GPs or not, you know, I don't want to say real medical professionals, but don't have the level that people would generally do these diagnoses, in order to make up for the fact that there's a lack of GPs, you can't get to the hospital, and you know the hospital waiting lists are long, etc., etc. Like, they did this out of necessity, and I don't know if it's even going to work because you don't know what the training's like for these people.
And we're also making sure that the next generation grows up smoke-free. Again,
the smoke-free thing, that's not going to happen because they're not going to get the legislation through Parliament because it's gone on recess, so he's just lied again there. It's just a complete disaster, honestly. You got a Sky News, I know Max covered this the other day, but you got a Sky News journalist being kicked out of, I think, Sunak's press launch.
First campaign event.
Sunak's campaign event.
At a Conservative Party launch, this is where the Prime Minister is going to speak in the next few minutes, and I'm being forcibly removed. We just simply wanted to have access tonight at Sky News, but unfortunately...
Brother is handsy, what the hell?
We're told that because there are pool arrangements in place, we're not allowed to be here. This is, by the way, what we're trying to film is the campaign event where the Prime Minister is due to speak in the next couple of minutes.
Imagine wanting less people to have eyes on your campaign event. Sky News, lots of people watch Sky News. Like, why would you want less people to watch your campaign event? It makes no sense kicking Sky News out unless you're worried they're going to ask you annoying questions, which, you know, I'm not familiar with this man here, but I don't know if he asks that many tough questions, I'll be honest. But it's just embarrassing. It shows you how cowardly Sunak is.
Front of Conservative activists is essentially trying to get across the message that we had in Downing Street today from the Prime Minister, talking about stability. I'm sure he's going to talk about the decision he's made. But as you can see, we just don't have access to it. It's not entirely clear why we don't have access to it. But, as I say, this was meant to be the campaign launch for the Prime Minister, for the Conservative leader, in front of party activists, in front of those loyalists who are going to support him during this campaign, who are going to go out and knock on doors, etc. The hope, of course, of the Prime Minister is this is a decision, a gamble that he's taken. So we're going to be put into an elevator here. Our bags are up here. We're probably going to have to leave at this stage because we're going to lose contact. We have to go into an elevator through security. But
this is just bizarre world, honestly, kicking out, you know, essentially journalists over this. But good news, guys, Jeremy Hunt won't be leaving, so he's probably going to have his Portillo moment. He's saying, I'm in there, I'm going to be staying, I'm going to be fighting for my seat. So I'm hoping he has a big Portillo moment where he loses his seat. I think the Lib Dems are looking strong in his constituency, so yeah, if you want to get rid of Jeremy Hunt, you know what to do. Check on Don't Stop the Tories Vote, it's called, because apparently that website's washed. But yeah, try and find the polling in your area, or just speak to your local candidates and just see who's worth voting for, to be honest with you. And this is another one where Rishi Sunak had to put Tory plants into one of the facilities he was visiting because he can't speak to ordinary people or the public.
The topic came up again later in the day when the Prime Minister appeared at a campaign event in the marginal seat of Erewash in Derbyshire. This is what he had to say in a question and answer session at a biscuit distribution centre.
How do we stop the boats? Well, I'm very clear that requires bold solutions. That's why we need Rwanda. Got to make it crystal clear to everybody. If you come to our country illegally, you won't get to stay.
Of course, almost like that. question was served up for him, wasn't it? The way he knocked that for 6. And now we learn that 2 of the people standing round in high-vis vests were actually Conservative councillors, one of whom, it appears, wasn't even from the area. I don't know if that was the one who asked that question.
But yeah, you know, he's bringing in Tory plants in order to ask him questions because he's that scared of the public. It's just crazy. I've never seen a man so scared of the public, but I remember Theresa May was pretty bad. You know, she ran away from people. So, you know, he's the second worst Conservative Prime Minister I've seen when it comes to answering questions. And that's only because we never saw Liz Truss answer anything.
Do they really want a man with no plan who will take us back to square one, as we've been saying?
Surely square one is Liz Truss. Come on.
Oof.
Stings, doesn't it?
That's an oof from me, I'm afraid. Like, square one is Liz Truss, to be fair. That's probably square -1, to be fair.
Square one is going back to a government that really doesn't know how to deal with the issues we've got. If we had a Labour government...
We don't have a government that deals with the issues we've got. Their plan for dealing with inflation was to do nothing. So that's not true at all. So it's just, what a stupid argument this man just made there. You know, the idea that the Tories have any sort of plan to deal with the oncoming crisis is just nuts to me.
Government, do we really think they'd be facing up to the spending challenges of our age? Because whatever...
I've got to pause you there. I mean, spending is high after 14 years of Conservative government. Debt is high and rising. The tax burden is the highest it's been since World War II and projected to rise. And that's under the Conservatives.
Well, I'm grateful that you say that, because I've spent 14 years, as long as anyone's been willing to listen to me, talking about the trajectory of taxes, spending, debt and currency.
Whether you have or not, that's your government's record.
Oh, yeah.
And are you... I mean, it's like, you want another 5 years, to carry the trajectory upwards?
Do they really want a man with...
Yeah, this is not the defence he thinks it is, and this, I mean, they've got nothing. There's nothing for them to argue at this point. I don't know, guys. What do you want me to say about this? They're cooked. They're absolutely cooked. There's more we could talk about. But I think I'm going to put these in individual clips. Back to square one. Square one would be Liz Truss. Jeremy Hunt, you know, having to say that he's going to stay on and fight for his seat, he's going to get cooked. Them kicking out Sky News journalists. Sunak standing, you know, near the place the Titanic was built and being asked, is he on a sinking ship? Or is he captaining a sinking ship? Like, whoever his PR team is, just stop. Just stop and just think to yourself, right, why are we going to be the idiots on the show that, you know, from the show The Thick of It? Put this man in ridiculous situations. Like, this man here, Sunak, he's not going to need to get another job in future, right? But if you write on your CV, you're on Sunak's campaign team, right? You're one of his PR guys, right? No one's going to hire you because you're washed. You're absolutely washed, because people remember this. People remember how bad his campaign is. People remember him being at a brewery, and even though he doesn't drink, people remember him being near the Titanic. People remember him bricklaying. I don't know how good or bad he did at that, but there's lots of people on the internet who will tell you how good or bad you are at that kind of stuff. People are going to remember him doing his big speech in the rain. They've made memes about it. People don't forget memes. If you're on his campaign team, right, really think to yourself, right, either leave now because it's a complete disaster and don't write on your CV, or fix up because you're going to need a job in future. This is bad. This probably is the worst campaign I've seen. I remember Theresa May's one where she didn't want to debate Corbyn and she looked embarrassingly bad. I remember her doing, you know, in kind of a media scrum where they were asking her questions and she was like, you know, really hesitantly drinking water and just looking afraid of things. I remember when they asked her about the dementia tax and she just crumbled. I remember when, you know, she was outside Grenfell Towers and when people in the public wanted to ask her questions, she ran away. She ran into her car. Now, fair enough, Sunak's not as bad as that, but this is looking really dire. And it's not like I want the Tories to do well, but from a strategic point of view, I don't know what you guys are doing. I'll be honest. And I don't think you guys are going to be employed in the kind of media industry if you carry on like this, because it's that bad. It's that bad. It's that bad that you got people, your opponents looking at you thinking, are you really sure about that? That looks like a misplay to me. You know, I always...
Start praying, boy!
Because honestly, it's looking awful. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.